अकाल मूरत जूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद। एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद। एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद। एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद। धन धन गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी महाराज, धन गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहिब सच्चे पातशाह। हवाए बंदगी अवुर दर वजूद मरा, वगरने ज़ौक़े चुनी आमदे नमूद मरा। न साजो न बाजो न फौजो न फर्श, खुदावन बख्शन दे ऐश अर्श। छुकाराज हुमा हीलते दरगुजस्त, हलालस्त बुर्दन बाशमशीर दस्त। के आशुद के जा बच गा कुश्ते चार, के बाकी बिमा दस्त पेचीदा मार। धन धन गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहिब महाराज, धन गुरु नानक साहब हजूर। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। We are walking through the verses of the JAPJI, trying to understand what our Guru is telling us. When we want to listen to someone, we have to put our ego aside. Often in a conversation, when we talk to someone, even before they finish, we are thinking about what to answer. We don't really listen. Our ego has a strong need to present itself. We all have this desire that I am must be accepted, that I am must be ratified, glorified. And so we feel very glad and good when we are appreciated. But when the I is not appreciated, we don't feel nice. This need for my ratification of my I is the hindrance with which I don't listen. We have gone through 9 paudis of the JAPJI, and we have started the last 2 paudis on Suniye. The next 2 paudis are also a continuum of Suniye. I think Guru knows that we don't like to listen much. We don't even want to listen when we go to Guru, because we have not made any Guru. To us, our ego is our Guru. Nanak Guru na chetni, man apne suchet. Guru is aware of our attitudes. He is aware of how we approach life. Because the fundamentals are the same. We all come into our ego in birth, and we strengthen and develop and condition our identity, our ego, and that's the platform we have of life. We don't know life beyond the ego. All of us say ego is not a good thing, but we all live only the ego. We don't know anything beyond ego, beyond I. Everything I touch, feel, hear has to do with me and I. But when in a rare occasion in life, I am willing to drop this I. I'm willing to listen so attentively, so carefully, so much in dhyan that I don't have any thoughts. and I am only listening, then the transformation of my subconscious begins. Then whatever I listen to actually gets absorbed. And that's what Sonia means. Not only listening, but absorbing and then transforming. That's why Guru Sahib says, when we listen to Guru, when we listen to Shabad, when we listen to Naam, when we listen to Hukam, then we become one with the Creator, provided we are able to put our ego aside. In psychology also, in modern psychology, when they heal people by listening, they put the ego aside. Otherwise, I can't listen. If somebody is in distress, in pain, suicidal, depressed, upset, emotionally needs support, then the only way we can support such a person is I listen and I ratify the listening. I message the individual that I've heard what you're saying, and then I mirror the emotions. Whatever a person tells us is full of emotions. Often it's a lot of emotions, and we ignore the emotions, and that's when the person doesn't feel understood. For doing any of this, I have to put my ego aside, and I have to listen by placing my I away. When I do this listening, then I transform myself and the environment I am in. Maharaj has opened the JAPJI with an introduction to a very powerful word, hukam, literally meaning order. But Maharaj explains in Guru Granth Sahib that hukam is naam. Naam is his order created by him. And if we connect to naam, we connect to his hukam. So if we sune, absorb ourselves in naam, then we are beyond our ego. We are connected to the source we are from. Modern psychology is built upon a lot of theories. Fundamentally, Freud is known as the father of modern psychology. And interestingly enough, Freud's analysis and his explorations have a lot to do with the Greek mythology. In the Greek fables, stories, they talk a lot about life. They talk a lot about the man. That's where life plays out. Life plays out in our minds. So if my mind is in a state of listening, suniye, and it is in a state where it completely listens. When I'm actually listening to someone, I am not thinking about what answer I have to give. I'm just listening. Then I become the listener and get absorbed by the words I'm listening to. The listener is gone. That's the only way complete listening will happen. That's the reason Guru Sahib says, Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas, Suniye Dukh Paap Ka Nas. Sada Vigas is timeless happiness. It's beyond death. And who has to die? our egos will die. And if I transcend the ego, then nothing in me will die. That's the only way I find happiness forever. Sada Vigas. And that is how I find that one seeking, that one search, that one need I have of happiness forever. When my home is transcended, my ego is gone. That's the only thing which has to die. The rest is only baggage of my mind. And the moment the ego gets dissolved, pain and sorrow both go away. Suniye dukh paap ka nas. And with it, whatever the ego has done becomes immaterial. Because there is no one who is doing. We all have this need to cling to our ego and seek happiness. The door where there is a land forever, it doesn't allow the ego to go there. Like we take off our shoes to enter our house. We take off our ego to enter the Lord's house, the God's residence, the ghar, the thir ghar, the sahaj avastha, the naam avastha. So, either I am or the Creator is, the both can't be together. Home naame naal virodh hai, doye na bas ek thain. Ego and naam are not friendly. They don't live together. This is the conflict which I constantly live. I want my ego and I want happiness forever. These are in conflict. These cannot be together. By submitting my ego at the door of the Creator's thirghar, I enter the realm of happiness forever. But the ego doesn't go there. It's a state of being where I am not. Let's first listen to the 10th and then after that the 11th pauri of the JAPJI. Everything which we do is a walk towards the hukam. Because he announced in the beginning, Nanak hukme jai bujhe, ta home kahe na koi. When we know the hukam, then I will not say I am. Home is not compatible with hukam. But I can merge with the hukam. The Guru Granth uses a word called samagam. Kahan te aave, kahan hai jaave, kahan hai rahe samai. Only when I am ready to merge with the hukam will I know the hukam. Will I know naam? Will I know unconditional love? Will I know Anand, which is happiness forever, unconditional? And in all these, I don't have to do because I am not. So who will do? It's not about doing. The world's survival is about doing. The more I do, the more efficiently, the more smartly, the more gains I can get in the world, possibly. But in the Creator's world, I have to take the shoes off my ego. And the rest is all taken care of. I have understood where that light comes from which I am made. And I have rested in that. I don't need to wander anymore. I don't have to be desperately seeking solutions. I can still live my ego world till as long as it's compatible with this state of my mind, which may not be forever. In the Guru Granth, 4 stages of the mind are explained: Jagrat, Supan, Sakhopat, Turiya. Jagrat is the awakened state when we are actually sleeping but awake. Supan is where the dream state. Sakhopat, the deep dream state where we are not, where the ego is dropped in dream. And the 4th stage is Turiya. Turiya is the transcendence of death, time, cause, everything. What he calls Tragun Teatit. We're much more than just Anand. Submergence, completeness, drop, completely mingling in the ocean. ज्यों जल में जलाए खटाना, त्यों ज्योति संग ज्योत समान. This is the trick. Samana. And I cannot somehow in this ocean with I as my baggage and all my past lives and karmas in it. Those need to be dissolved. And then when after a certain stage in Turiya, then this life is not compatible. It's not practical to sustain life then. Like Ghalib says, हम भी आदमी थे काम के, इश्क ने निकम्मा बना दिया. So that's a different state. But let's look at these 2 parables of Suniye, because they are the foundation stone of transformative spiritual life, where man goes into manan. We often want to improve ourselves, but the I cannot improve much. Dropping the I leads to perfection. So Mandeep will, I think, today read out this 10th stanza first, and then we'll do the 11th today.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ.
ਸੁਣਿਐ ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਗਿਆਨ, ਸੁਣਿਐ 68 ਕਾ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ, ਸੁਣਿਐ ਪੜ ਪੜ ਪਾਵੈ ਮਾਨ, ਸੁਣਿਐ ਲਾਗੈ ਸਹਿਜ ਧਿਆਨ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾਂ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਐ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ.
Thank you ji. Suniye Sat Santokh Gyan. Maharaj utters these words in unison with the Guru, with the Creator, in Parbrahm. Every word is like a story. Sat. We saw the darshan of one Satnam with Syari Tatta, and this is with Onkar. When person becomes Sat, when I am transformed into Sat, when I am not, Sat is. Suniye Sat. When I have heard so completely that I am absorbed, The listening is so transformative that I am no more. There is joy, there is rejoicing, there is creation, there is naam, there is love. But I am not. Sune Sat. The disciple has become one with the Creator. Now there are no aberrations, conflicts. Now there are no moments of pain in that sphere. In the physical there will always be. We always have this inner conflict of confusing the planes. The physical plane has its own role, it has its own life, it has its own conditioning. And we are not in denial of the physical world. We cannot be till as long as we are living. So the game of the physical world plays out on its own. But I think what is more powerful is the spirit. That which doesn't change, that which doesn't become undependable, that which is so changing so constantly that there is no stability in it. That's not the spirit world. The spirit world is completely stable, completely rich in its laughter and its joy and its anand. And it is the powerful center of the world. So when we look at the pain caused to our gurus, we only see the pain. We don't know the major side of the guru, who transcends pain, transcends the physical, is completely detached at will if he wants it. And who lives the reality of life. The reality is that which is permanent if I'm aware of it. If something is given to me in the day and I have to give it back in the evening, then it's not mine. I don't sleep with it. And that can be for a thing, it can be for a relationship, it can be for a status, it can be wealth, whatever it may be. There is an example in the Guru Granth when he talks about life being like a shadow of a tree, constantly moving, never the same the next minute. So he says, what should I ask for? Everything is changing here. There is no stability. If I take sand into my hands, it will go away. I will still have an empty hand. What can I take away from life that it will be forever? That is the transformative Sat of the me. The Sat, the truth within me, which is permanent, stable, forever. Explaining this in the Gurbani, Maharaj says, Sab mein jot, jot hai soy. Tis te chanan, sab mein chanan hoy. In everyone there is his light. And by his light, everyone gets lit, lives. But how do I see that? How do I relish it? How do I merge with it? How do I become aware of it? Gursakhi jot pragat hoy. And one of the essential things Guru does, Gursakhi, with the Guru, all this reality becomes, my aware mind becomes aware of it. Gursakhi jot pragat hoy. The light within me I become aware of it with the presence of the Guru. And what does the Guru do? सतगुरु के जन्म में गमन मिटाया, पूरे गुरते नाम पाया. Guru takes away the ego and gives us Naam. Takes away the transient, the invaluable, or valuable momentarily. We have so much inhibitions about the value of life and wealth. They are valuable in their own plane, in their own sphere, in their own time and space. They have their value. But that's not much, because the span of time is not much. And everything is moving in any case. Whenever we have this desire of seeking happiness at the cost of the other, then that is the door of pain for us. It will be for the other as well, but it is for us also. Freud calls it sadist. Yesterday, a driver in a car drove through 200 people in Germany and killed 5 of them. Sadism. I am trying to dissolve my pain by causing pain to others. Pain is an interesting evolution in life, concept and emotion. We are all bound by pain if we really look at it like that. We all have our own pain centers, and the pain is the same. So we are actually unified in pain. And pain is our teacher. My foot hurt this morning. It's telling me there is a lesion. There is a swelling. So the pain is guiding me towards healing. Pain and healing are together. But only when I become aware of the pain and I do something about it. If I ignore the pain, I suppress the pain, and it will grow. Maharaj talks about as a life, a state of being which is related to change. In the Sunye, the Sat has transformed itself into a reality within me. And the next word he has pronounced is a very powerful word by itself, Santok. You see a calm ocean where there is no movement, no air is passing over it. It looks like a desireless mind, has no needs, it has immense depth, and it doesn't want to go anywhere. It doesn't need anything. It's completely satisfied. A mind who is in this state of complete satisfaction, there are no loopholes left, there are no half-hearted desires not completed, there are no pains troubling me, there are no needs to fulfill, no such pulls in the mind. It is satiated. And the satiation comes from where? A fulfillment, a connection to the source of happiness within me, which is abundant, which doesn't make me want more, satiates me. all my efforts, all my actions, all my deliberations, all my wants, all my needs are pulling me towards the desire of happiness. I did everything thinking I will be happier. So we see in societies, it gets pulled in one direction and then it goes in the completely opposite direction. That's the mind. First, it gets driven to one direction of society. And then it says, no, 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 I'm not finding happiness here. So it gets pulled in the completely opposite direction. And that's what happens to me also. I want to buy more, I need more things, I need more relations, I need more accolades, I need more social acceptance and social connections. And then I'm fed up of them and I say, I want to get away from all this because it's become crowded. Well, what was I doing? I was trying to seek happiness. So I saw something, said, this is nice if I possessed it. This is a nice person if became friendly. This is a nice thing if I had this with me. What was the desire behind it was happiness. And maybe it gave me momentary happiness. But ultimately, we all grow over things, relations, because they are all bound by time, space, and cause, and everybody is changing. Everything is changing. We are also changing. Others are also changing. But in this, there are some relationships, or maybe one relationship, which doesn't change. And for that, one person in the relationship has to be unchanging to pull the other into the connection of unchanging. And that's the Guru. If we get bound to the Guru, to our roots, from our spirit, not by just carrying symbols, that may be just the beginning. But we actually get connected emotionally. We get connected to the point of our spirit, to the point of no mind, where I have no thoughts in front of my Guru. Then that connection will never go away. I grew up very close to a very spiritual personality. And in some of his experiences, I could see that this was not about a Guru in history, but this is a Guru who's living around right now, interacting with my mind right now. It's not an anarchanism. I'm imagining it. No, it's not like that. There is a timelessness in some relationships. And a Sikh Guru relationship is one such relationship. Maharaj says, Sune Sat Santok, complete satiation, where I have no desires, no needs. I am completely fulfilled. And interestingly, Guru talks about the same satiation in Naam also. When he says that if somebody is in Naam, Nanak Tripat Agai, then he is Tripat, completely fulfilled. Agai, completely fulfilled. Naam Japat Trishna Sab Buji hai. Because the desire comes from the ego mind. If my listening makes me drop my ego, then I am in Santok. I am not. I have no desires. That one part of me which is having desires is gone. And we all live in habits. All habits are gone. Good, bad, ugly. बिना संतोख नहीं को राजी. And spiritual life cannot be built on loose foundations. On ego foundations, it can't be built. On Santokh only it can be built. So when I listen to my Guru, to a point where I drop myself as an ego, and I am absorbed in the listening so much that I become the listening, it transforms me completely. Suniye Sat Santokh. And when I have these two things, then the revelation of life reveals itself, Gyan, not read in a book, not told by someone, not seen on some television, but lived it, known it. Kabir says a very interesting thing. It's not quoted in the Guru Granth. He says, मैं कहता आंखों देखी, तू कागद की लेखी रे, तेरा मेरा मनुआ कैसे एक होए रे. He says, I see and I know what I'm living, but you are reading it in a book. There's a very big difference in experience. How your mind and mine can be one. It's all about the mind, isn't it? We live our mind, wherever it may be, whatever it may be. But we have this habit of judging life only from the physical. Yesterday, someone was talking to me about, see, what if I am born in abject conditions in the middle of the forest and I have no means? What if? You still live your mind. We are feeling the pain because you are being comparative. You say, today I have these physical and then I will not have them. This is immaterial. I told the person about this one individual I see who's giving discourses in the middle of the forest. He's in Bihar somewhere. But interestingly, he's connected. We are only imagining. The reality is different. It's not imagination. Comparing. What is the state of my man? That's what we live. I may have a lot. I may be the more powerful. I may be, whatever it may be. I can still feel desolate, unhappy, desperate, shattered. And more likely, the more I have, the more likely this will be my state of being, because all this wealth and power doesn't get me close to what I am looking for. In fact, it tells me that life is fleeting and happiness is reclusive. There's a nice English poet I once read who said, happiness is like a butterfly. You go running after it and you can't catch it. But if you sit by yourself, it's possible that it may come and sit on your shoulder if you're not moving, if you're not disturbed. We go seeking something which we already have. And the Guru can make us aware of that. The Gyan is that. What I already have with me, I get to know. I've been seeking that always. Suniye Sat Santokh Gyan. Maharaj talks about in the next line, Sune At Sat Ka Ishnan. At or Sat, 68. In the Hindu religion, there are 68 Tirath Snans, pilgrimages. Why do we go to pilgrimages? To be away from our pain, or to get something we want or desire. We feel that going to pilgrimages will fulfill that. And these 68 pilgrimages all over the country are supposed to be the ultimate you can do for spiritual gain or any gain. Maharaj says that whatever I want or desire from doing so many pilgrimages, my first attempt about life is to do. If someone tells me there is something wrong, then I say, I must do something to solve it. A friend is unwell, I say, let me get you medicine. So I want to do. Or what can I do to heal your illness? So, even in spirituality, this is what we do. We try and go on pilgrimages. Sune Atsat Ka Ishnan, and go and bathe and to do, so that doing gets satisfied. This psychologically it may make sense. We feel we have done something about our needs, our pain, our desires of spiritual gain, or desires of wealth. People may ask for wealth in these places of pilgrimages. Although Guru Sahib in the Asadivar has explained it differently. He says, Ek nahi daat. This is not a daat which you have asked for, because that's the ego mind. Sahib Titthe Je Mile. When the Guru has found his Gur Prasad in you, that's the daat you're looking for. The rest is not daat. Whatever we ask for will ultimately give us pain. There's a Sufi saying, he says, don't get so much wealth that all your life goes away in trying to manage that wealth. So apt. We are not considerate of the energy we use in the different aspects of life, because energy is dissipated and it is lost. But in Naam, we assimilate energy. We gain energy. So we recharge the mind, so to say. Desires drain us. And then we want to rest and sleep. And that's why 8 hours of sleep. I can never understand 8 hours of sleep, but so be it. Maharaj says, Suniye Atsat Ka Ishnan. All these pilgrimages and the need for these pilgrimages, the desire for whatever kind it may be, by sitting with the Guru and listening, all of this comes to you. All of it transcends, descends on into your man. All that energy of doing gets assimilated by just listening so carefully, so much with attention, so much in dhyan, that you are not in thought. There is no thought distracting us. There is only listening. And listening is energy. And then suniye pad pave maan. And when he listens so carefully, all the readings of the world gets known in the man. He is able to read his own mind, the structure of the mind. And the Suniya empowers us. And then this person is exalted because he knows the man, the structure of the man. Pad pad pave man. Suniya lage sahaj dhyan. This is if we want to learn how to know dhyan, this is the line where Guru is telling us how to do dhyan. Sound is energy. O bhi chandan hoye rahe, base jo chandan paas. If you are with somebody who is in dhyan, then listening to that person, you are in dhyan. O bhi chandan hoye rahe. The trees next to the sandalwood tree all become sandalwood. They absorb. Sound is energy. It makes me focus, makes me go into dhyan. It pulls me to the state where the other person's dhyan is. And when I'm doing only listening and I've dropped my ego, then I've become one mind. Prab ki ustat karo sant meet, savdhan ekagar cheet. Ik chit, meaning no thought. This is the meditative state of dhyan. And how do I go into dhyan? One way is just listening. The only way is to listen. It will make me sensitive to my state of dhyan. And I will then slowly walk to it naturally also. These are two different things. I sat with someone and I became dhyanast. Now that's an experience I enjoyed. I got used to it. I became aware of it subconsciously. But to walk to it on my own without the other person's presence will take some time. But the goal is set. The markers are made and the road is going to take us there because we have known that state. Suniya has empowered our subconscious. From what Freud says, he says 9/10 of our mind is in the unconscious and subconscious state. And that's what pulls and moves us much more than we know. That's why most of the things we really want to do, we are unable to do. Psychologically, we fail because we don't know the inner mind. So when we allow Naam into our subconscious, it transforms us completely. And when we reach the bodies of the Khands, Guru will tell us how the Shabad transforms our Surt, Mat, Man, Buddh. Kadiye Surasana ki Sut. Suniye lage sahaj dhyan. When he goes into complete dhyan by listening so completely that the person is no more. There is no ego left. Sahaj dhyan. In the non-doing state, no thoughts. He is in dhyan or she is in dhyan. Maharaj ends this body with the same endings as before. But these are so reminiscent of a completely transcendental being, someone who has solved the puzzles of life. Nanak Bhagtan Sada Vigas. Suniye Duk Paap Ka Nas. No sorrow, no sins. They are all washed away. The reality of life transcends into our being as Sat, Santokh, as Dhyan, as a Tirath. Our mind becomes the pilgrimage. Suniye maniye man kita pao, antargat Tirath malnao. So just visiting my own man, I am in a pilgrimage. I am in a state of unison, of connection, of live, of being absorbed into the one Creator whom I have come from. Nanak Bhagtan Sada Vigas. And that is the Bhagat, he says. Transcends death, forever in happiness. Suniye Dukh Paap Ka Nas. I think we can venture to the next body also. If Mandeep ji can read it, we'll do it quickly.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਸੁਣਿਐ ਸਰਾ ਗੁਣਾ ਕੇ ਗਾਹ ਸੁਣਿਐ ਸ਼ੇਖ ਪੀਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਸੁਣਿਐ ਅੰਧੇ ਪਾਵੇ ਰਾਹ ਸੁਣਿਐ ਹਾਥ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਸਗਾਹ ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾਂ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ ਸੁਣਿਐ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ
All the good qualities of life, where will they take me? Where will I find them? Where will I know that ocean of complete qualitative supremacy, where my mind is not left in aberrations? Where will I find that? Suniye sara guna ke ga. Maharaj says that the sarovar, the ocean of good qualities, the guns, I become aware of all of them. When the mind is absorbed in Suniye, in Naam, in Shabad, then it is absorbed in its inner source, in its inner reality. Saraguna Kega. And that's what makes all the exalted people on earth have somewhere or the other connected. That's why they become exalted. That's why they become more different, they've gained more than others. It's like you have a bank balance and you encash it in the way you want to encash it. Now that all depends on the upbringing, isn't it? If I have a bank balance, somebody may want to buy shares, somebody may want to buy a car or house. Depends on what the conditioning of the mind is. Or somebody will want to become calmer, more spiritual, more enlightened about life. The bank balance is used for all these things. Maharaj says that's how Sheikh, Peer and Padshah, the exalted people on earth, are made like that. Sheikh, Peer, the wealthy, the spiritual, the Lord and Masters of the world, whether temporary or permanent, depending on their karmas, on their needs, of the way they have asked for it and what their bank balance is. There's a story from the Katha Upanishad which I want to share with you. He says, two people are in a room together in a darkness. And one of them says, I want to see where you are. So the other says, let's light a candle. But there is no candle. Let's light a matchstick. Let's torch some hay. He says, there is no such thing. Do we have some rock we can cause friction and cause fire in the grass? He says, no, we don't have all that. Then what do we have? He says, just tell me where you are, talk to me, and I will see where you are. In darkness, sound becomes light. Our mind is in darkness. And when we listen to the transcendent Baani, the Shabad, the Hukam, the Naam, completely, then it becomes our light. It becomes the Jyot in our life. We used to play these games when we grew up. One person used to say, I am here in the darkness, and we would know the person is there. So sound was light. Shabad is light. There is a story from the Sikh history also where the Mughals caught a father and son duo, and the next day the Mughals told the father that your son has accepted to become a Muslim, so we will let him go. And the father says, that's all right. I want to just meet him for a minute, for a fraction of a second. And he did that. He met his son, and shockingly, the son was completely changed. He did not agree to become a Muslim after that. His moment of weakness was transcended, but how? All the father said in his ear was, Vaheguru. Somebody who's connected says Ik Omkar Satnam to the ear of the other. He connects him also. So Shabad is our connection. Ande pavera. And we are blind in the spiritual life. We don't know who is Guru. We assume it. We don't have that experience. Till we don't know it, the doubts will always be walking with us. And Guru Tegh Bahadur explains this also. जन नानक को बिन आपा चीने मिटे न भ्रम की काई. Without knowing my inner self, the doubts will never go away. The moss of doubts will always remain with me because I don't know. I assume. The light has not come for me to see what is my real self, what is my inner mind. Maharaj says, Suniye ande pavera. There is light before me when I listen. The sound has transformed itself into a light, and I can see the way. I am not in darkness. Like a stick, a walker holds as a support system. Shabad, listening to Shabad, becomes that support system, becomes a revelation. We see with the physical eyes, we see with the senses, we feel, we hear, we talk. But it's also happening all in our mind. When our mind is more secure, when it's tied to something more permanent, and that's the Shabad. So the thought is the wandering mind, and Shabad is the non-thought mind. It's the stable mind. It's the mind where the Shabad can actually have an impact on us and change us. Suniye ande pavera. And when we have found our eyes in the spiritual world, through the Shabad, through Suniye, where the sound becomes light. Suniye haath hove asga. The unfathomable, the depths of the world where nothing is known, gets known to us. Does that mean I would know the depth of the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean? That's not what it means. It means that I know that beyond this changing world, there is another world. And I'm living that world constantly all the time, aware of it. I'm living that experience parallel to this changing world and unchanging world, the Santok, Sahaj, the Tirghar. It means I have created a new foundation of life, which is much deeper, much stronger, much more permanent than this changing world. It doesn't satiate me much. It doesn't fulfill me for much longer than it should. My experiences of seeking joy in the physical world lead to unhappiness ultimately. But if I know the structure of happiness within my man, which is what the Guru says, that if you meet the Guru, you find Anand. Then the transformation is permanent. I have known a state of mind within me to which I have found the road through the Shabad, through the listening of the Shabad. Suniye anne pavera. Suniye haath hove asga. And in my hand comes the depth of the secrets of creation, of my man, of the reality of my mind, of that part of my mind which doesn't have change and which cannot be taken away from me. So it's the wealth. What does wealth give me? Wealth ultimately gives me some form of happiness, some form of freedom, some form of healing. And all these things are found within my mind. And in that state, it is permanent. It's not temporary. Suniya haathove asga. The entire creation's secrets are known through Suniya. When I hear so attentively that I'm absorbed in the listening. नानक भक्तां सदा विगास, सुनिए दुख पाप का नाश. Life we can see life through the physical. But we can know life through the experience of the man. We can observe the world physically, but we can live the world through our man. And there is a world which is the physical world, and there is a world which is the spiritual world. The spiritual world is the Atma. And the Atma, the spirit, also has a ras in it. The Atam Ras, that's the word which we use for the channel. whatever experiences we have in the physical world, we are trying to get some ras, some joy out of it. But being in the state of Sahaj, Santokh, Dhyan, Gyan, being in that state, we are in a state of ras, a state of bliss, state of happiness within ourselves. And that's why Guru Sahib keeps reaffirming to us, Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas, Sune Dukh Paap Ka Nas. So if we go to Guru, we listen to the Shabad completely. That's why he always invites us, Gaviye Suniye Man Rakhiye Pao. Suniye Maniye Man Kita Pao. Always he's talking about listening, about absorbing the Shabad within ourselves. That's the way we will know the Hukam. We will live it, not read about it, but experience it. With these words, I would like to conclude today's session. Thank you all for being here. If you have any questions or suggestions, or you want to say something, in the Zoom you can raise your hands, and in YouTube you can write your question, and maybe it can get sent here to me in Zoom and we can address it. I would welcome any of you if you want to interact or say something. Or else we then start with the Anand Sahib. The ultimate rest of a Sikh is Anand. Anybody would volunteer? Anudeep? Anudeep?
जी वाहिगुरु जी, I have a question.
Hanji Maharaj.
My question is that you just mentioned the difference in the spiritual world and the physical world. Although the road to the spiritual world is the physical world, as I understand. However, the issue that that seems to be coming across to me in the past few days is that while we are living in this physical world, there are a lot of expectations all of us have from each other or from the world around us. So there seems to be a lot of tussle between the two, because when we talk about the spiritual world, it always nurtures patience, sahaj, as you say, and a lot of calmness there. But the physical world seems to be quite in contrast to it. It seems to be full of, hustle bustle here and there, a lot of topsy-turvy situations around us. The expectations that we have from others or others have from us, they also lead to a lot of disruptions and um, impatience in us. So, how do we deal with the two contrasts together and yet have some sort of balance between them?
The presence of Naam, although it takes time, it's not going to happen overnight. So we need to be patient, and the presence of Naam will slowly keep empowering us. It can become difficult momentarily, but if our direction is clear in our mind, and if we are sure about where we need to go, then like the boxer who gets knocked down and then wakes up, gets up again, we again get up the next day and we start walking towards where we want to go. if we think that will be the answer. Now, there are two issues here. One is that I may feel doubtful. Do I need a spiritual life? Because if I am doubtful, that is the key problem. The problems of the physical world are going to become overbearing when I have doubts within me. If the physical world has a lot of demands on my day-to-day life, then that can be a temporary hindrance. But if I have made up my mind, or if I'm sure about where I need to go, then ultimately I will walk that direction. And I think we also need to be aware that maybe we have not been in Naam to be able to really conclude what we feel or know about Naam. So I would suggest that we need to be patient and walk this Naam. 10 minutes of sitting in Naam can give me peace. And then I go back to the demand world or the demanding world, so to say. And ultimately there will be some solutions. The problems of life carry their own solutions. Or if they don't have a solution, that also is a solution. तो मुश्किलें हो गई इतनी कि आसान हो गई. So I can understand from what you are sharing that the present life can be demanding, can be disturbing. So you are not able to commit more energy, but commit what you can. And it's not about the time, it's about the quality. You can be in a battle for 10 years and completely be distraught. But the moment that battle is over, that second will give us realization. All you would need to do is sit. And the sankalp within us, the desire for the spiritual within us, the need for the spiritual within us will drive us to our own solutions. I don't know if I can make sense, but that's what I suggest.
I really love the example of boxer. I mean, I understand what you mean. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would somebody like to say the Anand Sahib today? Anudeep ji, most welcome.
जी
Maharaj.
वाहिगुरु जी रामकली महला तीजा आनंद एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद आनंद पिया मेरी माए सतगुरु में पाया सतगुर ता पाया सहज सेती मन वजियां बाधाइयां राग रतन परवार परियां शबद गावण आईयां सब दोतन गावो हरि केरा मन जिनी वसाया कह नानक आनंद हुआ सतगुरु मैं पाया एहे मन मेरेया तू सदा रहो हर नाल रहो तू मन मेरे दुख सब विसारना अंगीकार को करे तेरा कारज सब सवारना सबना गला समरथ स्वामी सोख्यो मनो विसारे कह नानक मन मेरे सदा रहो हर नाले साचे साहिबा क्या नहीं कर तेरे करता तेरे सब किछ है जिस देह सो पावे सदा सिफ्त सलाह तेरी नाम मन बसावे नाम जिनके मन वसिया, वाजे शब्द कनेरे। कहे नानक सच्चे साहिब, क्या नहीं कर तेरे। साचा नाम मेरा आधारो, साच नाम आधार मेरा। जिन भुखा सब गवाइया, कर शांत सुख मन आए बसिया। जिन इच्छा सब पुजाइया, सदा कुर्बान ਕੀਤਾ ਗੁਰਵਿਟ ਹੋ। ਜਿਸਤੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ, ਕਹੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੁਣੋ ਸੰਤੋ। ਸ਼ਬਦ ਧਰੋ ਪਿਆਰੋ, ਸਾਚਾ ਨਾਮ ਮੇਰਾ ਆਧਾਰੋ। ਵਾਜੇ ਪੰਜ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਤਿਤ ਘਰ ਸੁਭਾਗੈ, ਘਰ ਸੁਭਾਗੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਾਜੇ। ਕਲਾ ਜਿਤ ਕਰ ਤਾਰੀਆ, ਪੰਚ ਦੂਤ ਤੁਧ ਬਸ ਕੀਤੇ। काल कंटक मारिया, तुर करम पाया तुध जिनको। ते नाम हर के लागे, कह नानक तै सुख हुआ। तित कर अनहद बाजे, आनंद सुनो वड पागी हो। सगल मनोरथ पूरे, पार ब्रह्म प्रभ पाया। उतरे सगल विसूरे, दुख रोग संताप उतरे। सुनी सच्ची बाणी, संत साजन भये सरसे। पूरे गुर ते जानी, सुनते पुनीत कहते पवित्र। सतगुर रहया भरपूरे, बिनवंत नानक गुर चरण लागे। बाजे अनहद तूरे, सलोक पवन गुरु पाणी पिता। माता तरत महत, दिवस रात दुई दाई दाया। खेले सगल जगत, चंगियाइयां बुरियाइयां। वाचे धर्म हदूर, करमी आपो आपनी। के नेड़े के दूर, जिनी नाम ते आया। गए मशक्कत काल, नानक ते मुख उजले। खेती छुटी नाल, जिनी नाम ते आया। गए मशक्कत काल, नानक ते मुख उजले। खेती छुटी नाल। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਅਨੁਦੀਪ. Gagandeep has raised his hand. And before we depart, I will take apology from all of you because Anand Sahib has been said. But I would like to answer that question a little differently. If we have a problem in the physical, sometimes a physical activity can be a relief center for us. We can make seva our simran. For example, we cook something for the langar and we walk to the langar and go and give it. We don't make any demands, any prayers. We just do it as a seva. Then that energy will become our simran, become our relief to the man which is in turmoil, which is in chaos, which is in conflict. That can be a relief we can seek. That's another way of addressing this issue. Gagandeep.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह वीर जी
Vaheguru Ji.
Sorry, actually, I was on YouTube and it took some time to hop on to
Ji.
Zoom to ask question. Viji, when we were talking about, a listening part, one, when I was listening to you, there was one question, or it's like a feeling that I always have is, when, let's say, for example, even for Anand Sahib, when we were doing Anand Sahib, in the man we are doing Anand Sahib, and then there is certain kind of interpretation of the Bani that keeps going on in, as we are reciting. Is that the same thing that is that just ego that we say, when we are talking to someone, again, there is a certain interpretation happening to give an answer back, or these interpretation becomes question and then you just get lost.
Mandeep,
That happens a lot.
Mandeep raised the same question a few sessions earlier. Actually, this is by habit. You have been doing the meanings of the Gurbani, which is a good thing. But there are two ways of doing vichar of Bani. One is this way, which you do the meanings of the Bani. This is happening in the moving mind, in the thought mind, because who is doing the vichar? The thought. But we have to reach a thoughtless state to be really meeting the Bani. Suniye has to reach a level of complete Suniye, where we listen to the Shabad. In fact, the Shabad, there's a very big confusion in the community, and there are some people who are doing prachar on Anhad Naad also, which is completely wrong. These states of Anhad Naad and Suniye is without ego mind, is without thought mind. So when we are seeing vichar, when the thoughts are coming with the vichar, it's not complete listening. Complete listening is when we are thoughtless mind. And then we recite the Bani. That will be the real impact of Bani. So in the Ekagarman, the dhyan of Shabad is the vichar. And in the moving thought mind, the meanings of the Bani are the... So then for this, we need to do a very simple solution. We do one Shabad which we do every day, all the time. For example, the Mool Mantra or any other Shabad we like. Whatever is close to our heart. In that case, the thought words will go away after some time because you are doing that Shabad so often that you will drop the thought. That's the only way. So the Mool Mantra you do so often that between us and Mool Mantra there remains no difference in the mind. That's how intensely it is absorbed in the man. Then only the Shabad will have its impact. I hope you've understood.
Kind of understood.
Thoughtless
Is
mind
it
is where there is no vichar, no meanings.
no meaning? Yes,
Meanings
right.
are coming
So
in the thought mind. The
yes,
Suniye Guru Sahib is talking about is so complete that there is no other. There is only ekagar, one man, not two. No thought. And that's the Suniye which will transform us. Don't get me wrong, getting the meanings and knowing the meanings is important. But the dhyan of the Shabad is also important.
no, I understand. It's just that sometimes I realize, what I've been doing for so long. I don't know whether it's like you're just beating around the bush, doing nothing.
Then you can use that breathing as a Vaheguru breathing you do and energize and then do dhyan of Shabad.
Got it. Sure, really. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.